that we have the school feeding programs that are run by governments and not by UN organizations that have the ability to access technology, because today we're providing school feeding, but we don't have access to education. With technology, we can access information from across the globe that may not be available at country level, giving an opportunity to also nourish her mind as well. So using the technology that's already available in the world today to reach those who don't have access to that technology tomorrow will ensure that we can create a more sustainable world that provides not just for economic growth, but social growth, and is also less damaging and does not damage our environment, but moves us all forward together.
Hi, Commissioner. I'll have to ask you to answer quickly before we have Hans take us to a special guest.
Well, for me, it's very simple. The big deficit we have is a deficit of political leadership to face this broad range of problems together. And my favorite philosopher is Junger Habermas, and he says that the essential part of a democracy is the interflow communication between the political society and the civil society. What I believe is that technology creates a possibility to strengthen the role of civil society, of individual citizens, forcing political leaders to assume the responsibilities to face the challenges that I described in my first intervention, and to make in 20 years' time the world being able to answer the problems that today we face without the capacity to handle them.
Thank you, and I'll have Hans talk about the future at some other point, which I know we will see him again. But right now we'd like to go to Christopher Mikkelsen and bring him in via Skype. Christopher is with Refugees United, and he is joining us from Nairobi and is involved with the partnership with Ericsson.
He's one of the brothers.
He's one of the brothers, and since we've been talking about partnership, we thought we'd have him join and give us a little discussion about what's happening on the ground. So I'll pass it over to Hans to explain a little bit about the partnership and go that way.
I explained a little bit of Refugee United, but again, it always starts with a great idea and entrepreneurs that want to do something. And I'm extremely pleased to have Christopher Mikkelsen, one of the brothers that actually came up with the idea, came to Ericsson, came to the UNHCR, and started this solution, Refugee United. And he's in Kenya, and maybe he can say a couple of words. What you're doing right now, how do you see the future for Refugee United, and how it is developing? Christopher.
Thank you very much, Hans, and hello to everybody. It's great to be here. Now, you stole a lot of my thunder, Hans, so I'm going to have to think of whole new things to say about Refugees United. But in honesty, I think that what you've summed up on the stage today very much sums up the whole spirit of Refugees United. We're one of the first organizations that were built on technology. My brother and I came in and addressed the situation where we saw that refugee family tracing was carried out predominantly by pen and paper, with little collaboration across organizations, across conflicts and borders between the different organizations as such. And we also discovered that there was very little refugee interaction, very little empowerment of the refugees in question when it came to try and find missing loved ones. And we decided to do something about that and built the organization Refugees United. And relatively early in our life, reached out to Ericsson and began a partnership that focused on building very powerful mobile platforms using simple technologies like WAP and SMS and USSD and so on, technologies that are largely forgotten in the West, but that are pushing ahead in places across the African continent and giving information to people that have long been without. So what we created were essentially powerful programs that shifts the ability of refugee organizations to collect data on separated families from the centralized organization office, if you will, out into the camps, where trained refugees become the touch points to collect this information on family, on places last seen, and so on, and then shared across the database. And as Hans noted earlier, we've seen a significant increase in the amount of people we can help. Beforehand, a successful Kenyan organization would be able to help approximately 750 a year, and we're now seeing the 750 a day that Hans mentioned. And that brings us to about 135,000 refugees being helped right now across the platform, which are in the worlds of family tracing just staggering numbers. And none of this could have happened if it hadn't been for the partnership that we enjoy with Ericsson, that we enjoy with UNHCR, that we enjoy with the Kenya Red Cross and so on. And I really think that that's where the strength of Refugees United comes from, the ability to leverage each other's strengths to come to a much more combined whole that gives great power to the people we help. And you know, to top this off and to finish the day, I'll tell you a bit about a kid called Jonathan that I spent half the day with. Jonathan, at the age of 9, was separated from his 9 family members in the Congo and was forced to flee after a militia attack on his village, and trotted through the jungle for months until he resurfaced in Uganda, from where he traveled to Kenya. And he was picked up, so to speak, by one of our partners in the Dadaab refugee camp, and was brought to register and to get information and learned how to utilize the systems that we employ. And it took him a couple of weeks or so, but not more than 3-4 weeks ago, he was able to find his one brother, Jeremy, whom he had not seen nor heard from in 14 years, and discovered that he was living in in a village not more than 400 or 500 kilometers from where he was. And the brothers are connected now, and are just one of many stories that we push across the platform quite often, and demonstrates the power of technology, demonstrates the fact that 65% of refugees have mobile phones, and in giving them the tools to better their own lives, to make educated choices on their own behalves, is providing a very strong foundation for a better life for these 43 million people right now working with. So thank you for having me here today, and to give this brief update on where we are. Back to you guys.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Christopher. Yeah, thank you very much. It's a great personal story, and a great story of partnership, a story of connectivity, and a great story of why we all need to be engaged in helping to solve these issues. All of us here, all of the folks on the live stream, all the communities out there that can actually come in and make a difference. And I'd like to thank Christopher again, and I'd like to thank all of our panelists. It's a very powerful panel, lots of great messages. Thank you very much.